But what does this mean if we define 1 this way? Well, let's go one more step. We do not agree that any number we take from what we've just talked about, it really isn't this way. It's really every number, if it is a number, this number placed here, denominator, tells us how many parts there are. How many parts? There are 4 parts. There are 4 parts. There are 2, 3 parts. There's 1, 2 parts of 2 parts. So 1 of 2, 2 of 3. But we only mean 1 of them, don't we? I don't mean 2 of these sets. Therefore, really we need this, don't we, to make sure we know what we're talking about and not something else. So therefore, every number, whenever it is understood properly, is really that. The 1 must always be understood because you're only saying there is 1 5, 1 6. Therefore, behind the entire arithmetic system, there is a 1, which must be expressed or understood in this way, at the base of all numbers. Therefore, it then brings these together. All right? It's saying 1 together as a unity that includes all its parts as a whole. That's what this does. Now, this means, therefore, that this series is unlimited. Yet each is a limit. Each is a limit. This each is a limit. Each defines it, limits it to that and nothing else. Therefore, number is nothing other than an expression of the power of the limit and the unlimited. Right? Because this is a continuous, and each one of them is a limit. Therefore, beneath the idea of 1 and the many numbers is the idea of limit and unlimited, or continuous. If that's the case, then the necessary idea that follows, if 1, is not 1 in many, but limit and unlimited. And we have just shown, have we not, that from this consideration, once there is this thing called limit and unlimited, from it we can derive all numbers or 1 and many. So that therefore we can say the 1, the good, the necessary intellectual, as it were, metaphysical creation, if you prefer to talk of it in this way, or the necessary idea that follow once you posit the 1 and the good, is limit and unlimited. And from that you can derive 1 and many. Now, what other ideas can we then generate from that? Well, let's take a look. You see, once we have 1 and many, from what we've just seen, for each of these things called number, because 1 and many is an expression therefore of number, For each of these, there is necessarily, would you not agree, to understand them, right? Whatever symbol there is, 2, Arabic number 2, there must be something, therefore, about it which is the same, 2 marks. Something about the 3 as its members that must be the same. And yet, each one of those, 2 and 3, is other or different. Therefore, from the idea of one and many, we can say you have same and other. Now look, let's try it again. In order to have same, that means there must be something and something else which you are saying between them. There is this curious property called sameness. Therefore, it already presupposes a two-ness. Therefore, since it presupposes a two-ness, in order to have same, it presupposes number, two-ness. Therefore, it's only after you can talk about one and many that you can talk about same and other, because you can derive same and other from working with the idea of one and many. Now, these are the 3 basic ideas, sets of ideas, that are called many things in one way or the other. Of course, they're basic ways of expressing things. Sometimes they're called forms. Sometimes they're called ideas, primary ideas. But you see, if you can say there exists then these kinds of primary ideas, then these ideas must have existed prior to any creation. Well, remember we talked a moment ago about creation. Let's talk about the demiurgos, the God that generates the universe, or God the Creator. In order to create it, God looks upon it and calls it good. In Christian world, Hebraic world, right? He looks upon it and calls it good. He does it 6 times in a row. Therefore, there must be an idea in the mind of God of what is good. Right? He looked upon it and called it good. Therefore, prior to creation, there must be this idea of good. In the Platonic world, that's equally true, but they go a step further, right? And the whole universe, therefore, and manyness, is produced on just one basic idea, and that is God looked upon himself and created the universe to be as much as possible like himself. Well, God is one. He created his universe as a oneness. And then this idea in the mind of God must be the model, and this must be the copy. And the relationship between a model and a copy is likeness. Therefore, in the process of creation, the most fundamental idea is likeness, without which the universe could not come into existence. Therefore, likeness is a primary idea, what's sometimes called the supreme originating idea of the cosmos. Therefore,